In the past, when we've been writing our explanatory paragraphs, we have our topic sentence, we have our cited evidence, and then we've explained how that evidence relates to the topic. Well, reasoning is pretty much the same thing, but I'm going to show you 5 different strategies that actually make our explanations a little bit more advanced rather than being just one sentence. So on these slides, I'll show you a few of what these are. So reasoning strategies explain how your evidence supports your topic sentence. So the first 2 ideas is to play it out either positively or negatively. So to play it out positively means what will happen that will be a positive or a good outcome. And when you're doing this, think of cause and effect structure. Or you could play it out negative, so what will happen that will be a negative or bad outcome, and again, you'd use cause and effect structure. If you want to pause the video at any point during this time to take notes on this, you can, but this video will be available to you. The next 2 are historical impact, which would deal with the past, or long-term impact, which will deal with the future. So historical impact, what has happened in the past or in history that supports your topic, and I do give an example of this. And then long-term impact in the future, how will this affect the future, but like years and years from now. So with the playing it out, positive and negative, that's kind of the short-term cause and effect. The long term is what would happen many years from now. And finally, the 5th one, which is kind of honestly like one that you could easily use if you were having trouble with the others, is to validate the expert or talk about the source's importance. So why can we trust what this source has to say? So when we were watching the video about school start time, we knew we could trust what that woman said because she was a sleep researcher. So knowing what those are now, I'm going to go back over to my argument essay. And my very first reasoning, I'm going to show you long-term impact. So my evidence says the National Coalition Against Censorship explained that even books or materials that many find objectionable may have educational value. I'm going to talk to you about the long-term, like far off into the future, how that's going to impact the world. So I wrote, this fact proves we need students to be reading banned books. Students today are the makers of our world tomorrow, so we need them to be educated. This education that's coming from frequently banned books will benefit students and therefore benefit society. A better society will mean a better world for everyone. So I'm taking this way into the future and making sure that you understand the whole world is going to be better if students are reading banned books now. My second reasoning, and if you want to pause the video now and try your own with long-term impact or playing it out, you certainly can, or you can watch the whole thing in this entirety and then go back and pause as you need to. Either way is fine. You should be using different reasoning strategies. So my next reasoning strategy that I used is historical impact. So now I'm going to talk about the First Amendment protects the right of an individual's intellectual freedom and the freedom of speech. So this has happened in the past. History shows the dangers of restricting this freedom. During Adolf Hitler's rule, any books written that went against Hitler's beliefs were burned. These massive events that suppressed intellectual freedom and the freedom of speech, that should say spread fear and hate. We do not want to repeat history. So I'm talking about something that happened in the past. And then finally, when I'm talking about all these frequently challenged books, banning them would deprive students of essential cultural and historical knowledge, as well as differing points. I had to think about this one for a little bit, but I ended up playing it out in a positive way. So I wrote, if banned books were allowed in schools, students would become more empathetic and more understanding of others. Students being more accepting would lead to a more positive climate in school. So that's the short-term impact, and I'm playing it out positively. This is a difficult task, so if you do have questions, please come back and ask me.